Meanwhile, I'll give you another live show tomorrow. I'll be here at 11:30. I'll see you then. Take care.
With you until 2 o'clock today. We're going to talk about the latest in the Tiger Woods case. There is new information, and we are going to be talking about sports. Along with that, I'll walk you around the box that we have ready for you. Look at that. That is your money. That is a live picture of the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange to be specific, and it's in the green. And not by a small margin. As you know, for 3 straight weeks, the market has been down. That's the longest group of weeks that has had that pattern in a very long time. Below there, that is the United States Supreme Court. And they've been working on a case that involves conversion therapy. We're going to talk about that throughout the hour. And then we love a bit of space news. That right there below me is Artemis 2. It is a rocket that will be manned by 3 Americans, 1 Canadian, and it is supposed to go to the moon. It will be the first manned or spacecraft with humans on it that has been sent to the moon by the United States since 1972. So the Space Coast, we're talking about Melbourne, Florida, Titusville, Cape Canaveral, that whole area is really a buzz. And when you add in the fact that this is the Easter, Passover, spring break week, you know that there's a lot of people that could be in that area. Again, it will happen Wednesday, tomorrow, around 6:30 p.m. There's a press conference later during this program, so we will take you there to hear what is happening. We know that they have had many different rehearsals. They've gone through so many different things that could happen, and everyone involved in this mission believes that they are prepared. All right, so I'm going to take you to the stock market. We're going to look at this because we're going to take a bit of a deep dive right there as you look at this live. As I mentioned, we know that over the past couple of weeks, it has not looked good. The good news is that, look at it, it's looking a lot better. The Wall Street has rallied on some of the hopes in terms of de-escalation. By that, I mean, could there be some type of a deal in the Middle East? The S&P 500 jumped almost 1.5 points, and that is all thanks to some tech stocks. So the stock markets are moving as investors are kind of cheering on the signs that the Middle East conflict could be coming to an end at some point. Many people are hoping that this resolves quicker rather than later, and you're seeing it right there. About 10 o'clock this morning, the Dow Jones surged. You're seeing the aftermath of that. And again, like I said, the tech stocks, they're really helping all of this along. The market sentiment is improving each and every day. So it's just one of the things that we have been looking at. We're going to look at gas prices universally about $4 a gallon in and around our area. Obviously, that's not good news, but we're going to talk about your money and how the conflict and everything within it is affecting you guys at home. The other thing that we're talking about, late in the afternoon on Friday, we heard that Tiger Woods had once again, and I'm going to say it again, once again, flipped his vehicle. We're told that on the scene, he looked intoxicated, but when he was taken to the police department there, he was asked to blow into a breathalyzer, and there was no alcohol detected. Now we're learning that there may be something else, and certainly that's one of the reasons why we believe the officers did charge him with DUI, which is driving under the influence. We do have Dr. Christian with us this afternoon. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Jan. Nice to see you.
Good to see you as well. We know you as a longevity guy, and we know that you have done great work in that space, but you're in that, and your mission is there because you started in the pain meds, pain world. Am I correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So when you see this whole development with Tiger Woods, there's a drug that they're saying in one of the affidavits that he was on. First of all, what is that, and how could that affect him?
Yeah, and thanks for this. And this is very unfortunate for him. He's a great star. This is the second time this is happening. But what this highlights is the fact that in so many of the things that we do in medicine, specifically when it comes to pain, we use opioid therapy, and it has significant impact on cognitive function, judgment, reaction time. So even though he did not appear to have had any alcohol in him, what we know is that he was also, and he actually did admit this, that he was taking hydrocodone, which is an opioid therapy that we help with pain, but he also have all these side effects that, more importantly, can affect judgment, and people have to be aware of.
You hear that the officers are reporting that, quote, his movements were slow and lethargic. The affidavit also reports that he was sweating as he talked to deputies, and he told them that he had taken prescription medication earlier in the morning. Deputies have now reported they found 2 white pills, which again they identified as that opioid. Are you supposed to drive on it? What are the rules?
Yeah, so I mean, well, before we talk about that, classically, what he presented with, this sweating, bloody eyes, and dilated pupils are classic signs of CNS impairment, which comes from opioid therapy. So those are medications that are actually prescribed by physicians. But the issue is that people need to be educated about its risk on how it can affect people's impairment. When you're combining that with other type of medicines that are also sedating or can impair your judgment, all of that can actually get worse. And he's actually being charged with DUI, even though it's not alcohol. So people need to understand that the fact that your doctor has prescribed these medicines with you, if you don't know how it functions in your body, how it reacts to how you perform with certain type of activities, you may be at risk of hurting somebody else or be at risk of breaking the law because you took this medicine without knowing how it affects your body.
I've had a couple surgeries myself. My ACL in particular, I'm pretty sure I was given something like that. I know that it did not make me feel good.
Yes.
I didn't want to eat. I had trouble sleeping, and I actually got off of it early. I'm assuming you have prescribed this to people who are in a lot of pain.
Yes, I mean, what it does is really, it does help with pain for sure, but we have to be aware of the other side effect. And it's about educating people about what these medicines do. And even another piece that people need to understand about opioids in general, because it's a big problem in America, is that there is this concept called physiologic dependence, where your body actually wants the medicine, even if you get exposed to it one time. So education becomes very important. And then secondly, we have to actually go beyond just blocking those pain signal and actually addressing the underlying issues that drives pain. And that's what my practice has been kind of focusing on. So there is different ways to address pain. Again, opioid has a place, but people need to be educated about the safety and the risk.
And I think the other thing is maybe he was on this, in addition, something else. We all know the doctors will say, if we're giving you this pain medicine, please don't drink alcohol. Yes. Or if I'm giving you this pain. And then when the deputy says, quote, did you take any prescription medications? According to the affidavit, Wood says, I take a few. There could be something more in the system that is kind of escalating maybe the effects of the one thing that he was prescribed, right?
Yes, and that's an important concept to talk about because that's polypharmacy, combining different medications. So opioid by itself, the medicine he was prescribed, can cause impairment. When you combine that with other medications that are sedating, if you combine that with alcohol, if you combine that with stress, so all of those other factors and other medicines can actually make the effect or the bad side effect actually worse. So really understanding when to use these medicines, making sure that you're not combining them with other type of medicines which put you at a higher risk, are all important things that need to be educated. But again, I think it comes to we have to really get better at finding better route to solve pain because America is such a small country or a small population of the world. We have 4% of the world population, yet we use 80% of the world opioids. So this is a big issue and we have to find better ways to address this.
That's a crazy stat. 4% of the world's population and we use 80% of the world's.
Opioids.
As we wrap it up, he agreed to a breathalyzer, assuming he knew he had not taken any alcohol, but he declined the urine test. Doctor, is that because these drugs would be revealed in a urine test?
Yeah, so I think he knew that he didn't have any alcohol. That's the breathalyzer will pick it up. And then there is other drugs. When you take a drug, it stays in your system. And depending on what type of drug it is, it can show up in the urine. So he refusing to not do the urine test suggests that there may be some other drugs and other compounds that he's using that he may not want that to be revealed.
And then I know that you're not a alcohol counselor or anything, but we have heard that, that he said he was charged with DUI related to alcohol in one of his other incidents and one of his
Cases.
accidents. So, and you know, just we've heard a lot about the fact he doesn't want a driver because he wants to be alone. He values his privacy. But now that he has had not one, not two, but 3 accidents, and 2 of them involving a very serious car accident, what's your take on that? Like, what would you be telling him as his physician?
Yeah, and I think this is very unfortunate. And for him, he's actually very lucky. You know, people go through car accidents and they don't make it the first time. So this is a warning sign for him to really look to get the support he needs. Opioid use and all of these other substance use disorders exist. And for somebody like him, he should kind of, explore all the services that are available, psychological. We are in a world of technology. You can use Uber. I mean, this should not be happening. Some of this stuff are preventable. So I think, if I was his physician, the plan will be not just the medicines, but looking at how do we create an infrastructure for you so you actually become safe and the safety of others around you.
And pain-free with less medicines, probably, is what I think.
Pain-free with less medicine, because we can fix it at the root level. We can look at the microbiome, the gut, stress levels, inflammation, hormones. All of that influence pain. So there's a healthy ways to address pain that doesn't affect functioning of the brain, or it doesn't affect the kidneys and some of the systems in the body that are responsible for health. So there's healthy ways to do this.
Dr. Christian, I know you're a very busy guy. We do appreciate you checking in, and I do love that your expertise lends itself to a couple different types of topics. I hope you have a great day.
Yes, you too. Thanks so much for having me, and I wish him all the best, and hopefully this doesn't happen again.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Okay, we got 2 minutes. We're going to take a quick break. We got a lot going on. We're still waiting to hear what Brandon Graham will say. We're checking in on the Space Coast. There's a lot happening. We want you to be here for it. I'll see you in 2 minutes. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. There's a lot happening on this Tuesday, including right here in Philadelphia. The Community College of Philadelphia is hosting its 3rd annual Octavius Catto Legacy Awards. So we're going to listen in, and basically they're working to ensure the voices of African Americans are heard.
And thank you, Mom. Love you.
One more time for Al Swindle. Alrighty. up is the Persistence Award, and that's going to be presented by our senior success coach, Valentina Landrine.
Good morning. How are you? I should say good afternoon because it's now after 12 o'clock. Good afternoon. How are you? My name is Valentina Landrine, and I am a senior success coach for the Cato Scholarship. It is my honor to present the Artemis v. Cato Persistence Award today. This award celebrates a Cato scholar who has shown unwavering determination and resilience in overcoming obstacles on their academic journey. It honors students who refuse to give up, no matter the challenge they face, and who push forward in pursuit of their goals. This year's recipient is a senior citizen who returned to school at the age of 69 to earn their high school diploma, a dream they put on hold for more than 5 decades. After completing that milestone, they enrolled at Community College of Philadelphia to begin their college degree. Since that moment, this person has encountered setbacks that would have discouraged many. They have faced repeated class failures, cancer diagnosis, and grueling chemotherapy treatments. Yet through every challenge, they have never wavered in their goal. They have learned to celebrate every small victory along the way. This resilience is inspiring, their courage is contagious, and the perseverance that they have demonstrated at every turn embodies the essence of this award. I truly believe that this person deserves this honor, and not for a single moment of triumph, but for the incredible spirit that they have shown throughout their entire journey, one marked by grit, by grace, and unwavering determination. This year's honoree has exemplified perseverance in the face of adversity, proving that strength and self-belief can overcome even the toughest barriers. It is my greatest pleasure and privilege to recognize Ms. Betty Williams.
All right, so again, that is the Community College of Philadelphia hosting their Cato Legacy Awards. And that is on the left-hand side of your screen. The other thing that's happening today is that Goya Foods is donating almost 13,000 pounds of food. All of it is going to support 9 school pantries in the 7th district. So again, public schools, they have kind of pantries that children and families use in and around that. You see members of the Philadelphia Police Department are there as part of that. So Goya Foods is having a food donation. It looks like they're kind of like bringing stuff in, bringing it out. So we are going to go back to what's happening at the Philadelphia Community College just to listen in. I just want you to know what's happening live in and around the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, really. But this journey of mine has been a blast. I've loved every minute of being here. I've never missed a day. I try to be here every day. I try to learn to better myself, to be a good chef, because people gotta eat. So I want to thank you all for the love, the support, and just welcoming me in your hearts. And you're my second family. Thank you.
So again, a lot is happening in and around the city of Philadelphia and candidly in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The governor is basically hosting a rally because he wants everyone to know just how active, specifically the state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but more importantly, we care about Philadelphia. There will be, as you know, so many things happening this summer. Chris O'Connell is there. He's at the pep rally. Big energy, big energy.
It was absolutely big energy down here at the Cherry Street Pier along the Delaware River. We had the heavy hitters out from all across the state rallying around what we have so far coming up this year from major sporting events to a major birthday party. And one of the guys who's one of the playmakers, they call it, the Philly sports guy. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm feeling fantastic. What's up, everybody?
I mean, we got it all happening in Philly this year. What was it like today, the whole atmosphere, getting ready for what's ahead this summer?
The energy was electric. Everything coming in with the mascots here, talking about the PGA Championship, the All-Star Game, you know, everything that's happened, the NFL draft, which is happening on the other side of the state, all of it's a part of Pennsylvania. Really, it shines the light on the state and Philadelphia as a whole.
Now, how are you getting involved? I know you are the biggest Philly sports fan from no matter the sport. You got a little different getup. Describe it.
Well, they have announced that I'm a Visit PA playmaker. And so to be able to represent the state of Pennsylvania, not just Philly, but also Pittsburgh, they gave me a jersey, so I matched the colors on the jersey. And that's what really it's all about, representing Pennsylvania.
My man, Philly sports guy, Jamie, appreciate you.
Thank you.
I was going to say go Birds, but I guess we're all equal opportunity today, Jen. So, yeah, we had representatives from every event. And like Jamie was just saying, it's not just what's happening here in Philly. They got the NFL draft happening in Pittsburgh just a couple weeks from now. Then we got the FIFA World Cup. We got the PGA Championship. We have the MLB All-Star Game and All-Star Week. It's an entire week of activities. So today was the kickoff, the pep rally to get everyone involved. Governor Shapiro was here. He announced some additional funding, and they say every corner of the state must be celebrating this event. But of course, it's all happening here, the epicenter of democracy that happened just a few blocks away from Jen. What a great day here in Philly.
And, you know, I keep telling people, they're talking about their summer vacation and blah, blah, blah.
That was awesome. Thanks for letting me do that.
And I keep telling people, why would you go on vacation this summer? This is going to be where everyone wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, Jen, I was saying this before. I don't think there has ever been this many major sporting events in a city in such a short amount of time. And if any city knows how to do events, it's the city of Philadelphia. Not just sporting events, we've done political conventions, we do it all. And here was just kind of the pep rally to start it all off. We had the mascots from, you know, all the major sports teams. We had the Steelers that were here, the Pittsburgh Penguins. We had the Hershey Candy Bar here. You see Chill Moody over there in the backdrop. A very Pennsylvania, very Philly event. And what a gorgeous day to kind of kick it off for the summer of celebration here in the city of Philadelphia.
I love it. All right, Chris O'Connell, thank you for your help. And like you said, go everyone. Sixers, Flyers,
Right.
Phillies, Eagles, Union. I'd say the Wings, but they're gone. And Philly sports
Yeah.
guy, Jamie.
Too soon, Jen, too soon.
All right, so we do have a lot going on today, and we're going to bring all of it to you live. One of the things that we've been watching is happening in Texas. The governor there, Governor Abbott, he's been talking about some of the things that his state is going to do in terms of tax relief, in terms of property ownership. It's just one of the things that people are talking about in and around the country. As you know, in Texas, they don't have income tax, just like Florida. So their real estate taxes are really important. We're going to listen in.
Increase. And that's because of increased spending by property taxing jurisdictions. To be clear, the state of Texas does not impose a property tax. They're imposed by multiple different local jurisdictions, the largest of which are local school districts. And those local property taxing jurisdictions, they just continue to spend more and hence demand more property taxes from taxpayers. That must end. What we are seeking to achieve here is to require every local property taxing jurisdiction to live within the same spending limits the state of Texas lives within. It's something that Galveston County has proven that even in a growing county, they have the ability to live within their means and not spend excessively. and we expect every local property taxing jurisdiction to be able to achieve the same goal. Second thing, and that is, if we're going to be able to contain any increase in property taxes, we have to ensure, for one, that every voter in the state of Texas is going to be able to have a say in whether or not their property taxes go up. And if there is going to be a property tax increase, it must require a 2/3 vote of the voters before those property taxes go up. Those strictures are necessary to ensure that our residents are not going to be taxed out of their homes and businesses are not going to be taxed out of business. Next is appraisal reform. Appraisals are going through the roof. And a reason for that is because current Texas law allows property taxes, or the appraisal of property tax property to go up.
So again, that's the Texas governor. He's talking about property taxes, the reason why they matter so much in the state of Texas. It's a big part of the state revenue because, again, they don't have income tax. It's a similar situation in Florida. You might have heard your parents, they moved down there. They have to pay a lot in property taxes and a lot in school taxes to keep those states running. It's just the way they work. At the same time, the NTSB, which is the National Transportation Safety Board, they are holding hearings. There have been some crashes lately in the air, also on the rails. We're going to listen in to hear what they're talking about.
It was equipped with automatic emergency braking. I would assume that an advanced driver system, which is what these are billed as, would be able to detect a stopped vehicle in the middle of a highway with the hazard lights on in a well-lit area. The bottom line is, I think this should be a wake-up call to the manufacturers and the regulators alike to step up testing protocols for these systems to improve their performance, as well as better communication with vehicle owners about the significant limitations. Thank you.
Member Chapman.
No further questions in this area, thanks.
Member DeLue.
One last couple questions for me, and by the way, I 100% agree with Vice Chair Graham, the regulators. I have a question a little bit to follow up on the mapping thing. So I did some research on the Blue Cruise. So if I bought a new car, a new Ford, for instance, they tell me the subscription is good for 90 days. If I want to go beyond 90 days, I got to pay, and it's a one-time fee, which is pretty expensive, or I go buy a yearly fee. So let's say I get the car, and after 90 days, I don't get the subscription. But then 6 months later, I decide, okay, I'm not going to let my son Peter drive it. I'm going to drive it now. When I get the subscription, does the mapping then update automatically, or how does that work with the mapping piece versus the subscription?
I believe the approach would be the same, is that the mapping, any updates would be sent to any vehicles that have a subscription.
And let's say I decide I'm not going to do it anymore, so I'm driving on the freeway with my Blue Cruise, and then my subscription ends at midnight, I suspect. I don't know if they go by midnight. Does the Blue Cruise turn off, or does it keep working, or what's for the operator who's driving it, because maybe somebody forgot to pay the bill, is it pretty knowledgeable that the Blue Cruise is not working?
I'm not certain, but I would expect that the same approach would be as if a DMS is unable to detect your gaze, meaning that the necessary requirements for the operation are not met, so the vehicle would initiate a slowdown process, whether it would require you to follow to take full control of the vehicle. If you do not, it would initiate a slowdown procedure to bring the vehicle to a stop.
I'm just curious, this driver monitoring system, DMS, for that acronym, is if this is all spelled out, also the limitations in the manual, because the subscription I thought was kind of expensive, so some people might decide not to pay for it anymore, at least for a couple months, and then it might have an effect on the Blue Cruise. It may not be able to engage it, which is what I would hope would happen, but do we know that for sure? Is there any?
The limitations of a driver monitoring system are discussed in the vehicle owner's manual, and specifically things that the driver should avoid wearing to avoid situations in which DMS is unable to detect driver's gaze.
And pay your monthly subscription, for instance. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Nice job. I appreciate the info.
All right, other questions? Anything else for this part? Okay, Mr. Squire, you are up for your presentation. Thank you.
All right. Okay, I guess I'll start to say, well, good afternoon.
As they figure out what they're going to do with their tech there, again, that's the National Transportation Safety Board. We thought they were going to speak a little bit about what's been happening in the airports. As you know, there was an accident that happened up in LaGuardia. 2 pilots were killed, and there's been quite a bit happening with our airways. There was a plane in Brazil that had some issues too. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk about something that matters to most of us: gas prices. It's not good. We're going to talk about it. We're going to let AAA maybe give us some ideas on how to make our gas go even further. We're going to be right back. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. This is a topic we have been talking about for quite some time. It's the price of gas, and it really affects all of us. Even if you don't have a car, it is impacting you in some way. So we know this. There is now a statement that has come out from the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. People were asking about the price of gas. So you see it there. I'll read it in part. She says, when Operation Epic Fury is complete, gas prices will plummet back to the multi-year lows American drivers enjoyed before these short-term disruptions. President Trump remains committed to fully unleashing American energy dominance, lowering costs, and putting money back in the pockets of the hardworking American families. Again, that's from Caroline Leavitt as part of her remarks yesterday. Janet Tidwell works for AAA, and one of the things that you guys, not just during Operation Epic Fury, not just during the summer, you guys track this day in, day out, year in, year out. Good afternoon.
Hey, Jen, how are you?
I'm good. All right, now you said a couple of weeks ago people would not change their behavior until the beginning number, the dollar number, made a change. And in less than a month, that's happened.
Yeah, we've seen gas prices here locally in the Philly 5 County area soar just over $1.01 just in the past month alone. Psychologically, this is the mark where people say, oh my goodness, now I need to pay attention and I need to do what I can to save or to maximize each tank of gas, because when you're filling up, the average gas tank is between 12 and 16 gallons. At $1 more per gallon, roughly, the average driver here locally is spending $12 to $16 more every time they fill up their tank.
So it can be around $80 depending on how often. I think the average person, if you're commuting to school, commuting to work, driving kids around, it's about a tank a week, would you say? And so that's a big deal. That could be a nice dinner out. That could be putting your kid on a sports club. If you're a student, it could be, laundry, candidly. So one of the things that I think you guys do well is you kind of tell us how to manage it. Give us some of your tips and tricks, please.
Absolutely. Just a few things. Vehicle maintenance, performing routine vehicle maintenance, like the oil and filter changes, making sure that your tires are properly inflated. Those things alone help to maximize fuel efficiency. Now that we're seeing $4 per gallon, when you head out in the car, you might want to consider carpooling to your kids' school events, your kids' after school activities, club sport teams. Consolidating errands. If you have to run an errand this afternoon, take care of all the errands you might need to take care of for the week, perhaps while you're out, so you're not going in and out repeatedly. Take advantage of any discount programs that you may be eligible for. The wholesale clubs offer gas programs. Some grocery stores offer gas programs. AAA offers a partnership with Shell. Take advantage of anything you might have access to. Every penny counts, especially now as we're looking at $4 gas.
Now that it's going to be 80 degrees, by the way, yay, it's going to be 80 degrees. I think I know this, and you will correct me. Have you told me that it's better to use the air conditioning in my car to save gas than it is to roll down the window?
I will tell you that on a day like today, it is better to keep the windows down and lay off the AC because that will help with fuel efficiency. Obviously, when we are in heat wave situations, sometimes the air conditioner is warranted. On a day like today, probably not. But since you bring up the heat, the other thing that motorists will want to consider is idling. You don't want to be sitting in a parking lot in your driveway just idling to keep the air on because you're sitting in the car. That is a terrible waste of gas if you don't need to be burning it. So please don't do that if you're looking to maximize that tank.
Okay, that's interesting because I'm guilty of that, 100% guilty of that. Janet, we appreciate you stopping by. I know it's spring break. I'm sure you have 1,000 different places to be. And I am hopeful that Caroline Levitt is right and that the gas prices will, in her words, plummet soon.
I hope so too, Jen, but what I would caution motorists to is gas prices are high because of the price of crude oil. We now see that crude oil is a global commodity, and what happened because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz is affecting oil prices globally. When oil prices soar, gas prices soar, as we've seen. Very rarely do they plummet downward in the opposite direction. So hopefully there is a resolution. Hopefully crude oil begins to drop, but those gas prices, likely they shoot up like a rocket, and we've all heard they come down like a feather. So hopefully we will start to see some lower movement soon.
I don't like that. I want it to come down like a rocket too. But you know what? We go to you, we ask you to come on because you give it to us straight. So we appreciate the help. Have a great rest of the day. Get outside, put your windows down.
You do the same.
Okay. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We've got a lot going on. We're still waiting to see what's going on with Brandon Graham. He's expected to give some sort of an announcement. Tons of stuff going on with sports. And we're going to hear from the people that are going to send that Artemis 2 rocket up into space. There's a lot happening. We're here till 2, so you got to stick around. Welcome back in, everybody. There's a lot happening today. We are going to be talking about King Charles and Queen Camilla from England. They're going to be traveling here soon. Rob Shooter's going to join us in just a few minutes. We're also going to be talking about that Artemis 2 rocket. But in the meantime, the NTSB is talking about a number of things. As you know, there have been some plane crashes recently on the tarmac of LaGuardia. We saw that happen. 2 pilots died. We're going to listen in as they talk about different accidents, including things that happen on the train tracks and other areas of this country.
To the database before we had this board meeting to get more updated results and see where we are today. Since the standing general order was issued and the database was first active, and then actually since June 16th, 2025, up until February 26, 2026, there have been 998 reports for level 2 ADAS incident data. 82% of those reports are Tesla. And it's not that it should not be taken as there's a problem with Tesla. Tesla reports more. So if NHTSA is going to regulate based on defect investigations and they don't know about a crash and the automaker doesn't know about the crash and you're not recording data, how is it that you can improve safety over time? Does that make sense for how you are regulating safety? Anyone?
No, it doesn't make sense.
Sorry, I had to go on. I was just trying to make a point. It's ridiculous. With that, I'll turn it over to Vice Chairman Graham.
Thank you, Chair. Good point. I just got a couple questions. Do these vehicles have any capability of automatically transmitting information directly to Ford?
Yes, as Dr. Betchich reported on, they had 2 telematics programs. It basically reports on the status of the vehicle, the functionality, what mode they're operating in, and certain vehicle parameters.
But nothing really about the Blue Cruise engaged, or it did have for
yes,
Blue Cruise, but
it
anything
does.
on the ADAS system?
It does. The main thing that we noticed that we consider was a deficiency was it didn't have direct crash notification. In other words, as in the case of Tesla, they get notified when an airbag is deployed. That's specific data they get. In this case, there wasn't specific crash-related data.
So do we know how Ford is using this information that they receive?
To monitor, well, they monitor the performance of their vehicles, so it would be to improve, to see how the systems are performing and to make improvements as might be needed.
Are they using it to proactively enhance safety, do we know?
Any automaker is using them for their own purposes. To what extent it is due to learning how their customers are using it, whether those systems are used or other purposes, we don't really know.
Do we know if they have the technology today to be able to send off the crash data automatically?
Well, clearly, since the various telematic data collection programs are used to collect and transmit various information, as Mr. Squire has described, they could also transmit parameters such as airbag deployment, which would be a key parameter that would indicate this is a crash that might meet NHTSA's SGO reporting criteria. So the technology is certainly there.
The technology's there. It looks like they're missing an opportunity, and it looks like others are missing an opportunity, not just Ford. So thank you.
Member Chapman.
With regard to Tesla, why is it that Tesla is reporting so much more? Is it that the telematics are superior, or that the parameters that are being reported are capturing more occurrences that maybe indicate a crash, or is it a little of both? I mean, what is the reason? Do we know?
I think they would probably describe themselves more as a technology company in addition to an auto manufacturer. So Tesla has always had that desire for the more technology, and it does do a lot more communicating with the manufacturer. Their vehicles, they have much more, I won't say control over the vehicles with regard to the data that goes back and forth.
And I'm a little confused about this, and you can clarify. Is the recording of level 2 partial automation data, is that a requirement or is that done voluntarily?
The reporting to NHTSA, the standing general order is required under certain circumstances. Again, when the level 2 systems are engaged at the time of a crash or they're engaged within 30 seconds of a crash.
Okay. All right. And in the case of the, yeah, Chris, go ahead.
The recording of level 2 information.
So again, they're talking about driverless cars. You know, there's a lot going on with that, whether you drive a Tesla. Certainly some of the new EV cars or the electric vehicles also have driverless functions. They're trying to figure out where the data will come, when and if there's an accident, and then also who will be alerted when and if there's an accident. At the same time, today in Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Delaware, we're hoping for a perfect day because the weather is looking gorgeous. Just yesterday, it was cold. Now, it's expected to go to 82 degrees. So let's take a look at where we are. It is expected to be a bit of an up and down week. So right here, happy Tuesday to all. 0% of rain, 100% chance of being 80 degrees. I think Sue Serio said she expects it maybe to go up as high as 82 degrees. Then tomorrow, first day of Passover, more of a chance of rain, 84 degrees. And then, Sue Serio, what did you do? Thursday, it looks like it will be chilly. And I think the one thing that people are looking at is the weekend. 80 degrees, a lot of sun on Saturday. Sunday, there's some rain. That's not ideal. And then Monday, so like almost a week from now, it does look like we'll get back into a more traditional spring temperature time. Now, I just want you to know, you have options. You have places you can go. Certainly you can go to the beach. All right, so this is Atlantic City. It looks gorgeous. It's probably a little bit chillier down there than it is in the city because that's how it works. That's why we like it in the summer. I will tell you this, believe it or not, you can also go to Camelback. That's right. Oh, it's 61 down in Atlantic City. And then look at this. People are still tubing. I did receive an alert earlier today that Camelback Resort expects to stay open until May 1st. So I am going to put that on my things to do list. They always say t-shirt skiing is one of the great things. It's 72 there, so it's warmer in the Pocono Mountains than it is at the shore. And look, they're tubing. They're having so much fun. Myself, I have never skied or snowboarded in a short sleeve shirt because they say if you fall down, you get what they call road rash. It's kind of like falling on the sidewalk. So if you are going to ski and snowboard, I recommend wearing a long sleeve shirt and pants. That's for Keith because he just came in the building. Full length pants, okay? I want you in your pants. All right, so those are just some of the things that you can do. A lot of kids off from school this week. We're going to come right back. We're going to talk a little royal gossip or royal planning with one of our favorite people. The naughty gossip guy, Rob, is coming up in just a few minutes. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. And in Philadelphia, there are people who are obsessed with the royal family, and there are people who don't care about the royal family. I happen to care about all of them, and you might care too, because we've now learned the King, Charles, and his wife, Queen Camilla, are headed to the United States. So if we need to know what the heck is going to happen when they get here, we go to the Naughty Gossip Guy. Rob, how are you? I'm sorry I'm calling you the Naughty Gossip Guy, but that's who you are.
It's who I am. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. I'll stand up. It's like an AA meeting. I'm a gossip columnist. There, I'll say it out loud. I'm a gossip columnist.
All right, so, okay, let's talk proper logistics before we get into the tea, if you will.
Yes.
Okay, so the King and Queen, they're coming to Washington. They won't see a ballroom because it won't be ready. But will they come? Should I prepare my tiara?
You should have your fascinator, your tiara, your cape, your crown jewels, everything ready. So they're coming in April. Originally, they were going to be coming around June for the 250th celebration of American independence. So now they're going to come in April. We have to remember it's independence from the British King. And so maybe that was not the best idea to come in June, July. And so now coming in April is probably better. There will be a big banquet at the White House. It won't be in the ballroom that has not yet been built, but there will be a banquet there. There's got plenty of room, don't worry. They've been doing this for a very long time without the ballroom, so there's going to be plenty of room for them to eat. And then I'm told the King will also address Congress, and so he'll give a speech there, and so he'll be in DC for 4 working days.
Could he come to Philly? It's very close.
It's very, very close. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that the trip is going to be really carefully planned. I think it's a trip to DC, and they're not like when I go on holiday, when I go to Britain to work, after I finished working, then I spend 3 days and travel around the country. They don't do that. They come in, they do the job, they get out of there. So they're not going to be here on vacation. It's a working trip. Parliament, the Prime Minister have asked the King to do this, and the King serves on behalf of the government. So I don't think there will be any additional trips. And also, too, he is the King. Security is going to be a big factor and a lot of concern, too.
Washington is on one side of the country. California is on the other side of the same country. What are the chances Harry, I had to say it in your pronunciation, Harry and Meghan and maybe the grand lovelies will be able to see the King and Queen while they're here? Any chance of that?
Yeah, I hit the phone. So I used to work for Princess Michael of Kent. So as well as being a gossip columnist, I was a publicist for a long time, and I've actually worked for the British royal family. So my sources are excellent within the family. I asked them, what is going to happen here? I'm told that conversations are happening right now to see how they can see each other. I would imagine Harry and William will travel to DC. I don't think the King and the Queen will go to California, but I think to come to America and not see your son, not see your grandkids, I think is something that's going to be really not a good look. It's going to look tone deaf. And so I'm told right now they're trying to figure out how all this fits together. Another complication here is that President Trump has made it very clear that he's not fans of Harry and certainly of Meghan. So going to DC might be tricky for them. But I think here that there's a will, and when there's a will, there's often a way. I think he's going to want to see his grandkids, which he hasn't seen in 4 years. And so while he is here in America, my sources are telling me every effort is being made to make sure they do at least have a private meeting.
Because you have access to anyone and everyone, I have a plan. And you can present the plan as your own if you wish. Every Kardashian has a plane. Oprah has a plane. Beyonce has a plane. They all have a plane. So I think they scoopity scoop up, the royals in California, and maybe it's in Annapolis, so it's not quite in the perimeter of Washington, D.C., but it's near there somewhere that the meeting may happen. Again, I encourage you to submit that as your own plan.
Good. I'm going to take that. Thank you for that. It's very tricky, isn't it? Because any other family, this would make total sense. If my parents came to DC, I'd jump on the train and go down and hang with them for a few days. This is a family business, and this trip is business. There has been a lot of tension between America and the UK, between America and NATO allies, and so I think this is a way to soothe that. So as much as I want to say the king is going to be here to enjoy himself and to really see how great America is, I also know that he's here working, and so Harry will definitely be a private meeting. It'll be something he wants to do without the cameras there, but I hope they figure this out. It'd be lovely if they could figure out just a couple of hours on the schedule where he can spend some time with his grandkids. Fingers
I agree.
crossed.
Speaking of grandchildren that aren't going to be around for Easter, Beatrice, Eugenie, they're not invited. They've been invited to everything, but Easter services, they're out.
Yeah, so they're starting to separate themselves from the York family as the situation with their father, the former Prince Andrew, and their mother, Sarah Ferguson. It continues to deteriorate. More and more information is coming out about Jeffrey Epstein and their relationship, which also, unfortunately, now does involve the princesses too. So the family, the Windsors, have taken a step back. They're not going to be at Royal Ascot, the two princesses. They're not going to be at Easter services now. My sources are telling me, and I've been reporting this for a long time, that William's the driving force behind this. The King Charles was very slow to make any statement or do anything about his disgraced brother. I think William wants this mess dealt with before he becomes king. And even though I don't want to punish the children for their parents' sins, they are part of the York family, and this is a family at the moment that is so toxic, that is so dangerous, that nobody wants to be seen with them. So they will not be there for the Easter services, and I would predict moving forward we're not going to see them very much at all.
Rob, I don't know about you. I think we get on well. I'm using your language, your vernacular. So I think that you should come visit more often. And I have no plans in April. So if you get a proper invitation to the hijinks and you need someone who will make you look more attractive and more intelligent, I'm your guy.
I agree to everything you've just said. We shall be heading to DC together. Get your tiara ready.
I'm ready! All right, thank you. Sorry for the Friday energy on Tuesday. I'm going on holiday after this show. Thank you.
Take care, my friend. It's good
Thanks
to
for
see
the help.
you. Great.
I love him. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break, reset. It's almost 1 o'clock. There is a lot happening. All right, this is Philadelphia Live. I'm Jen Frederick. Brody Frederick, my son, is studying abroad in Barcelona. One of the things that all the kids do, they go to Morocco. We have Brody live via FaceTime on a camel. Hi, Brode.
What's up, Mom?
How's it going over there?
I don't know. This is my guy. I'm not sure what his name is, but
Were you nervous about riding a camel and calling me on the phone?
yeah, I thought I was gonna drop my phone.
Don't drop your phone, man. And you're in the front of the line?
Yeah.
Did they give you any instruction?
No, they don't speak English.
Okay. And is it most?
We're taking this ride to go snowboarding.
What? Do you consider yourself lucky? Hold on, he's coming back. Do you think you're a lucky kid, bro? Again, he is in the middle of a desert. Oh, here he's back in Morocco. Are you back, bud? Nope, he's gone. That is welcome. A, technology. B, spoiled rotten kids, although he did pay for this trip. And what a special moment. Happy to share it with all of you. Like I said, we go live anywhere and every. Keith, my man was on a camel.
That was fantastic.
Okay, that was. I don't know if any bosses are watching. And by the way, Brody hates to be on TV. All right, where are we going next? Let's have a little bit of a reset. We are going to go. Okay, so we're going to go from someplace that looks like Tatooine. That's a reference for my Star Wars fans. To the Space Coast. This is a press conference about the Artemis II.
Communication checks, RF checkouts on the systems, and then after that, we got through all of that work. Then we went ahead and powered down the ICPS because there was no more work for them until later tonight when we power ICPS back up. But of course, Core Stage and Orion stay powered up through the remainder account. Today, we got launch pad ground system configurations in work. We're doing closeouts in a number of areas. We're doing walkdowns as we work through the pad to make sure everything is configured for launch. We're also in work on the late stow right now. We should be getting the Avatar and the bags that we're doing in the late stow going up. They were prepping them in the PTCR down in below the pad terminal changeout room, which is the area beneath the pad where we have some rooms, and getting those ready to go up, and they should be being installed as we speak. And then let's see, tonight we're going to be doing a whole lot of other work as we get ready to clear the pad. We do have some work associated with the Orion ground equipment and systems that we use to do the leak checks on the crew suits. And so we'll be working those later tonight to configure those and check them out and make sure they're ready for when we hook up to the crew on launch day. We'll be powering up some of the Orion guidance systems later tonight as well. We do intend to clear personnel from the pad at about 3 in the morning at that point. And then we'll get ready for our air-to-GN2 changeover at about 4 in the morning. We do that. We purge the vehicle with air routinely for the whole flow. Once we get to this point where we're getting ready to add hazardous propellants like hydrogen, for example, we change over to GN2 to have an inert environment for safety purposes on the vehicle and all of the volumes that are on there. Let's see, later, once we get through the air-to-GN2 changeover and all the other work is done, our launch director will have a final weather brief, and once we get out of that, she'll signal the team that we are ready to start our propellant loading, and that's scheduled to occur at about 7:34 tomorrow morning. That loading takes a little over 5.5 hours. We'll work through that. As mentioned yesterday by the launch director, we have inserted some time in front of that propellant loading time frame, so that if we are in fact done with all of the work and are ready to go and we can start a little bit early, like a few minutes, we will try to take that and take every bit of time that we can to get ready and prepared for the crew and be prepared for anything else that might happen. So we did that purposefully to give ourselves a little bit of room in that time frame based on the launch director's guidance. Let's see, during the propellant loading, the flight crew will wake up at about 9:45 tomorrow morning. They'll have breakfast and start working towards their preparations for launch day, and getting their suits on and doing all the other work that they have to get ready to head out to the pad. And then once we get to all stages replenish, which is a little after almost 1:15 in the afternoon tomorrow, we'll send a closeout crew to the pad. All stages replenish is when we're done tanking, essentially. We filled all the propellant onto the core stage and the upper stage ICPS. And at that point, we're only just replenishing the propellant that's boiling off at the same rate, so we keep it full. We do lose quite a bit of propellant during that time frame, and so we will continue to just work that throughout. After that, we'll send a flight crew to the pad. They're going to head out a little before 2 o'clock. And to get into the spacecraft, as I mentioned, the closeout crew is going to go out before them, so they'll have been working that time to prepare the capsule for the flight crew arrival. And then the flight crew will get out there, and then I'll work in the insertion portion, in which we're going to strap the flight crew members into the seats of Orion. And after that, we'll do the final closeouts in the crew module. We'll close the hatches. There's some pressurization checks we do and some other things and at the end. And then we'll clear the white room. And then get ready to get into terminal count. Our closeout crew clears the white room at about 5:30 tomorrow night. It's almost an hour before launch. That's our plan time. After that point, we'll finish the rest of the work and configurations that we can do remotely. And then, excuse me, we'll proceed into the launch team poll. And then after that, the launch director will perform her management poll. And then we'll get into terminal count for the last 10 minutes of launch countdown. So that's essentially the work ahead of us. And I would say that our team has been working amazingly hard through these weeks and months trying to get this vehicle ready to where it is. We've had some challenges. The team has done an outstanding job managing each and every one of those throughout all of this, through many different scenarios, through weather, through lots of different things that we've had to work through to try to get through all of this and get to where we are today. People are excited and ready to go on this first chapter on our way back to the moon since the 1970s. So we're very excited. So, Mark, over to you.
Right. Thank you, Jeff. Good afternoon, everybody. So amazing times. It's great to be here at this point. And of course, weather has been a nuanced thing for us at times here in the generation phase of this mission. But again, look outside right now, great weather. Hopefully we will keep all of that, although the breezes continue to be an issue for us, but a minor one for us in terms of weather. If we could pull up the satellite imagery here, you can see currently what we're looking at. Another beautiful day here in Florida. See a few cumulus clouds moving from the east side of the state towards the west. That is our onshore flow that we've had really the most for the last 2 weeks or so. And a few of those cumulus clouds could evolve later today into a few showers, much like what we saw yesterday evening. And again, that's going to be one of the watch items for weather as we go into tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon as well. Let's take a look at some of the overview slides here just to kind of give you a synopsis of what we're looking at here. So the breezy weather does continue. Again, Artemis is a very resilient vehicle, so despite the breezes, it looks like that concern is a minimal concern for our day of launch. Lightning risk with any sort of showers that we have is quite low, generally only on the order of 5 to 10%, and that would be generally during the late afternoon, and any of that activity pushes towards Orlando after that. So again, it leaves us in a better spot here for our launch opportunity. We take a little bit look at what else could potentially be of an impact. You may have heard about the sun. It's become a little bit more active. Here over the last day, we've had a solar flare erupt, but again, no or minimal impact for us out of that, as most of the energy is not earthward facing. So again, we continue to look good in that department as well. We look towards backup opportunities. So for whatever reason, if we can't utilize tomorrow, the weather, of course, is a changeable entity, and we do have a tendency to move towards somewhat less favorable through the rest of the week. It isn't a huge drop-off, but again, kind of a little bit more of a situation where we'll have to monitor those feisty cumulus clouds and potentially a few showers and breezes as well. So we go to the next slide, please. And again, I just wanted to bring this up real quickly with the sun. So this was an image here from this morning. Again, the area that's circled on the solar disk, that is the area that we were watching that produced the solar flare yesterday. Again, it's directed most of its energy away from the Earth, and in fact, there's been no response in terms of the particular particles that we look at that could influence the launch vehicle. And so by this point, or within the next couple of hours, if we don't get a response at all from our satellite data, then that threat will have waned as well. We'll still have to watch that sunspot group, however, because it is rotating off towards the center of the solar disk. So again, this flare, not a concern.
All right, so they're talking about highly technical things. So we are going to talk about something that is probably more relevant to you guys at home right now, or wherever you're watching, and that is sports. We've got Bill Matz, he's coming up. Two guys are going to make big debuts tonight. Two different teams, two different sports. There's Keith. We're going to be right back in 2 minutes. Hi, Keith. Bye, Keith. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. Okay, we have Bill Matz. And what's great about having Bill, he's with PHLY. You see all of the hats behind you. Hi, babe.
How's it going today, Jen?
I'm doing great. So who are you more excited for in terms of a debut? Andrew Painter with the Phillies or Porter Martone with the Flyers?
Andrew Painter is one of the top pitching prospects the Phillies have debuted in a long time, but it has to be Porter Martone. He's one of the top prospects in all of hockey. He had an awesome freshman year at Michigan State, came up a little short in the regional finals to try to get to the Frozen Four, and we luck out because the number 3 team got eliminated early, so we get our top prospect tonight. Get to watch him in Washington, D.C. against Alex Ovechkin and company. This is really, really exciting. The Flyers finally starting to show a little bit of what their plan is in terms of this rebuild. We're going to have Martone on the ice. We're going to have Mishkov on the ice, Bump, Barkey. It's all starting to come together, Jen.
Okay, so one of the things that Caitlin, the producer, has been showing me is the standings. And she's given me some hope in terms of the Flyers making it into the playoffs for the first time since 1931. Do you have hope? We have a video of the standings. How do we get in?
You get in by, you have to not only catch a team like the Columbus Blue Jackets, but you actually have to get ahead of them because Columbus, Detroit, and Ottawa all have the Flyers beat on tiebreakers. That's the regulation win column there, the RWs. So you get in by winning a bunch of your final 9 games. Charlie and I yesterday on our show decided we think they have to win at least 6 of the 9 in order to get in. They're playing great hockey right now, and for the first time in a while, I really do think they can do this. A few weeks ago, a lot of our commenters were like, Bill, how can you say this now? You had just given up on them, but they are playing totally differently. The game on Sunday against the Dallas Stars really changed things for me because they outplayed one of the best teams in the NHL, and that gave me a little preview of, okay, maybe they can do this. So I'm starting to really believe they can get in.
All right, so I listen to all you well-educated sports people, yahoos, and a lot of people have said, Porter could mess this up, that they are playing so well, they're gelling as a team finally. Does Porter mess this up? But he's got a hot stick, again, coming out of a really great college experience, right?
Yeah, I can see a lot of times general managers of really good teams at the deadline are a little nervous about maybe making a trade for a big addition, and how does that mess with the chemistry in the locker room? I don't really think that's a concern here. A few of these guys played with Porter Martone at World Championships last summer, so they know him a little bit. And also, the players who might be coming out of the lineup aren't exactly the key contributors here. In the last game, they had Carl Grundstrom playing with Travis Konechny and Christian Dvorak. He is a fourth-line player that they kind of just put on a line that made you go, he doesn't really belong there. And I believe the reason is, that's Porter Martone's spot, and they're kind of just saving it. Grundstrom has had a good season for the Flyers, but him coming out of the lineup, I don't really see as a huge loss to the locker room. Like, how could they do this for one of the top prospects in hockey? It's very easily explainable.
Okay, so that's Porter Martone, came out of Michigan State. Now he's with the Flyers. Gavin McKenna played at Penn State. People love him. Like basically 80% of the jerseys at a Penn State hockey game have McKenna on the back. He will be the #1 draft pick. Where does he go? How does that work?
There will be a lottery at some point in May. They haven't announced the date yet. It's usually in mid-May. There'll be a lottery of all the non-playoff teams for the first overall pick, and that will be the Gavin McKenna lottery. Vancouver, Chicago, I think are the bottom two teams in the league, with the New York Rangers in the East. So they'll have the best odds to get #1, but anyone from basically 11 down in the standings has a chance. The Islanders got the #1 pick at from the 10 spot last year, so it is pretty wide open, but I would guess it'll be Vancouver, Chicago, or the Rangers.
All right. I hope it's not the Rangers, just because.
Same, Jen, same.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the Phillies. I have been hearing this name for so long, Andrew Painter. And, I know he had Tommy John. There was a lot going on. I haven't talked to you for a while. I want you to just know where I'm at with the Phillies. Thanks for asking. I was so excited on Thursday. I was 100% back.
Yep.
In October. I didn't even open up my Phillies box of clothes yet. I wore one t-shirt on Thursday with a jacket. But then Thursday afternoon, I'm like, I'm officially back, got the Phillies stuff out of the attic. And then what they do to me? They break my heart all weekend. And I don't want to hear that I'm not supposed to care until August. I'm passionate. So give me some hope with this Andrew Painter situation.
Well, yeah, I feel like Andrew Painter has to be around my age by now for as long as I've been hearing about him as a Phillies prospect. But he is one of the most exciting pitching prospects the Phillies have brought up in a long time. Very much looking forward to his debut. He had a solid spring. He has had some ups and downs throughout his development coming up through the organization. But this is a cool moment to see one of these guys. I remember it with Cole Hamels. I remember it with Aaron Nola, and now perhaps we have another one here in Andrew Painter. But I'm not waiting until August, Jen. Absolutely not. I am a Memorial Day guy. Okay. The season reopening day is Memorial Day for me. That's when it all starts to count. And until then, hopefully we have Flyers and Sixers.
I like that. Okay, so wait, real briefly on this. With Mr. Painter, Mr. Walker, can we get rid of that guy, or at least put him in the 5th or 6th inning? Why does he get to start?
Because they're paying him, Jen. There's really no other explanation for it other than, well, he's here. You have the job, I guess. So, yes, hopefully once Zach Wheeler comes back and Painter establishes himself, they are able to finally say goodbye to Taiwan Walker, because this thing has basically been a $20 million disaster since they signed him.
I wish I was a $20 million disaster. I would just.
There are worse fates in life.
All right, the Sixers again. Like, am I excited? There's a play-in game possibility. Am I supposed to take my Sixers stuff out of the attic? What am I doing?
You know, the Sixers, it just seems like every time you think, okay, this is what they're going to be. They're going to be the 5th seed. They're going to get this locked down. They're getting healthy. They have a big step back like they did last night against Miami. But I've been talking to my Sixers crew. We're both, cautiously optimistic about getting to watch some playoff sports this spring and summer. And they're telling me they're getting in. Now, you would love to be able to avoid the play-in, but with some of the injuries the Sixers have had, with their inconsistency, it might be difficult, but I'm believing they can get into the actual postseason right now.
That's amazing. The actual postseason.
Yes.
That is crazy.
Yeah, the play-in doesn't really count.
I agree.
That's
I
not
agree.
real playoffs.
I agree. All right, Bill, we haven't seen you in a while. You're not allowed to take vacation. Thank you for coming to visit. People can watch him on PHLY. Thank you for your insight. I'll pull all my shirts out. I'll be ready for any availability.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Jen.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back. We do have Space TV. JP would like that. And some more happening all live right here. Welcome back in. Right now, it is like 1:25 on Tuesday. At right around 6:24 on Wednesday, Artemis 2, which is a space rocket, is expected to launch into space. And so basically the countdown is officially underway. We know that engineers are powering up the flight hardware. There's a live camera of it. They're checking communication links. And this is a big word I just wanted to share with you guys. They're preparing the rocket's cryogenic systems for the precise fueling sequence required. They need to load hundreds of gallons of supercooled liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen in there to make sure it is ready. It will be manned. There will be 4 people, 3 Americans, 1 Canadian. So we're going to lean in a little bit on the news conference. They're filling us in on what is happening in terms of the prep.
Next up, we have Christopher Mick with the Hudson Star Observer.
Thank you for the information today and for holding this briefing. I just wanted to ask a follow-up kind of on the weather hold question. I know you can't completely control that with where you are in the count, but I think you mentioned, Mark, in the 2-hour window, there's some bands of green that could potentially be coming through. Is an optimal situation? Could you kind of walk us through? Is that like holding at 10 minutes and then you're waiting for that band to move through and proceeding on from the 10-minute mark? Is it at 20 minutes? Is there kind of a, what are the opportunities for kind of being the best to hold at?
As far as the holds go, we have very prescribed holds as to where we can hold. Generally, if we have a weather constraint, we're going to hold it T-minus 10 minutes. We won't pick up the clock from there generally if we have a weather constraint. If we are counting between 10 and 6 minutes, we can hold at 6. We can hold there for quite a while, actually, through the remainder of the launch window if there is a violation that occurs between 10 and 6 of any of our weather LCCs. So we can sit there for a while. If we pick up a weather constraint inside of T-minus 6 and counting, if it's something that's most likely, if we're going to have a constraint, we're probably not going to get it in a very short period of time. So we'll have to do a recycle and then come back and see if the weather's going to be good on the other side of that. But we have very prescribed hold points and where we can, stop and then pick up the clock again as required.
Thank you. We'll now take questions back here in the room. We have one here right up front with this gentleman over here.
Hi, good afternoon. Tom Costello with NBC News. As you are now back on the pad, and of course in February you dealt with the issues on the wet dress and the tanking issues, what will be the earliest concerning signs you'll be watching for as you begin tanking tomorrow morning, assuming everything is going well, but you will clearly have your eyes very closely monitoring that tanking progress? What will you be closely watching for that there could be signs of trouble?
The first thing we would probably be looking at is a recurrence of these events that happened previously, right? So once we get in a fast fill on hydrogen, that is where we had the previous issue where we had the leaks. We believe that we've solved those through, we've changed the seals out, we've done exhaustive testing, and so we feel pretty good about that. We went through a wet dress with that seal, so all of that says that we feel pretty good about all of that. But that's where we would generally be looking at, first of all, is right there at the beginning when we transition from slow fill to fast fill on the hydrogen side.
Thanks. We'll take some more questions over here in the room. Let's go over to this side. We'll go right here up front as well.
Hi, Sawyer Rosenstein with NSF. We talked obviously about the weather here at the Cape and around the area, but what about abort weather criteria? Can you go into what that looks like for the coming days, and also how often are you measuring it? How are you measuring it as well?
Yeah, good question, and a complex one, actually. So the winds are obviously coming from onshore, and the whole point of, in case of an abort, is if we have to utilize that system, we do not want to have the Orion capsule land back on land. So there are particular thresholds, are really the component of the onshore wind that's exactly perpendicular to the coast. And so just getting a wind out of the east, southeast, the actual coastline is more oriented northeast. So we take only a fraction of that onshore component, which helps us out. Now, if the winds were starting to back, if we saw that indication on maybe one of the backup days that instead of them coming out of southeast, they were more northeasterly, we would unfortunately be exposed to a higher percentage of that onshore component. So we do look at it at a layer, not only at the ground, but all the way up through 4,800 feet. And to make that assessment, and it's an average speed through that layer, and we actually do have calculations to run that. But the decision point is actually from a balloon that is launched at L-3 hours and 10 minutes. We'll be providing the launch director already with assessments of the forecast well before then. But that L-3 hour and 10-minute balloon is really where we'll report the hardline data as to whether or not that component that is onshore northeasterly is actually in violation of the magnitude constraint of that. And then at that point, if that were to be the case, then we'd be continually advising the LD about what our expectations are. Subsequent balloons will be launched and will also give us a read for that. In addition to balloons, we also have the 915 megahertz sounders that we have, which also give us real-time assessments of what the wind direction and magnitude altitude is. So we have a number of ways to address this. So even if we were to proceed deeper into the countdown, weather, of course, changes. And so the forecast component plus the actual hardcore balloon data and the sounding data gives us that ability to make a forecast and provide numbers. So it's possible at one point in the countdown we could be technically unacceptable for that low-level wind abort constraint, but then evolve to be acceptable or vice versa.
Thank you, Mark. We'll go ahead and take then the person right behind him.
Tim Dodd, Everyday Astronaut. Can you give us a quick little refresher on if we do go through an entire launch window tomorrow, and we might be holding for weather or whatever, we do have a 24-hour recycle capability for Thursday. Is that correct? And/or if that's not correct, what does the return around look like? And if we do burn up a 24-hour recycle, what then are we at 48 hours for the next attempt? Can you just run me through the full reset situation?
Sure, and we generally would refer that as more of a scrub than a recycle, because our recycle is that time that we have a second attempt. But for our scrub plan, we have opportunities. Right now we're set up for 48 and 24-hour capabilities throughout. We have 4 launch attempts available to us in 6 days, and we'll take a combination of that. As mentioned yesterday, our launch director mentioned our sort of baseline or preferred method is to do a 48, then go into 24, and then followed by 48.
All right, so again, NASA is hosting their pre-launch press conference, and if you've been listening and paying attention and not just having it by your desk, they're talking about the weather. As you can only imagine, weather when they launch, weather when they bring the astronauts back, really important. So it gives us an opportunity to talk about the weather right here in and around Philadelphia. Let's fire up the map. So first of all, if you're able, you might want to go outside. 80 degrees, partially sunny. I haven't been outside since about 10 o'clock in the morning, but it was looking really good. And remember, now that we're getting into spring a bit, it will remain light out for a little bit longer. Tomorrow it also looks great. 2 games, we have a Phillies game. Tomorrow it's the beginning of Passover. And then as we go into that Easter weekend, Saturday looks perfect. And then Sunday is a little bit iffy. So, you might be cooped up with your family inside if it does rain. So we wanted to show you a couple of different places you might be able to go. First of all, the beach. We're hearing that there, because of the wind, it is in the 60s. So that's Atlantic City. But right now, if you wanted to grab a chair, grab a snack, grab a beverage, grab a friend, you would have a wide open beach. And we know Atlantic City is very close to Philadelphia, so it's easy for you to get down there. All right, maybe your ski season is not quite over yet. Do I have some good news for you? That's Camelback. Okay, that's in the Pocono Mountains. That obviously is the 2 sides of their tubing hill. Just about a half hour ago, we did see people going down. And Camelback, which is also owned by the people who own Blue Mountain, they say they plan on keeping some runs open, keeping the fun going until May 1st. I do think over the weekend when it was a little chilly, I saw that they were still making snow. So they want to make sure that they have the runs covered and all of that for you to be able to do that. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of weather here around our area as we listen to what is happening in Florida for the launch. Again, it's the Space Coast, so it's about an hour east of Orlando, Melbourne, Cape Canaveral, Titusville. That is where that rocket will blast off. It's expected to go just before 6:30 tomorrow night.
Pretty gradually. So you'd see an uptick in those protons, and then eventually that would be a precursor to a more concerning surge. But again, right now we're hovering right around background levels, and it takes actually quite a bit of energy directed towards the Earth for us to even get close to those constraints. And right now where that sunspot group is, it's still kind of out on the limb. Talking to the experts at NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center this morning. They're the ones who monitor this and forecast this, though they're definitely more in that lane than I am. They also see kind of about a 55% chance that we would get an M-class flare over the next 48 hours. That's a lower level flare. Again, probably not a concern at all. And then a 10% chance over the next 48 hours of an additional X-class. But again, that doesn't say anything of how that energy is directed, which at this point, that energy will have a preference to not be directed towards Earth. In a few days' time from now, if we were to get another flare from that sunspot group as it rotates towards the center of the solar disk, that would be something that would predispose us to getting a little bit more of that energy. But as far as whether or not that's actually enough to trick a constraint, that's still a pretty high bar to reach.
Thank you. We'll now go up front right over here.
Hi, thank you for doing this. Ken Kramer, Space Up Close, for Jeff. Tell me, I'm very interested to know about the LOX and the hydrogen testing that you're doing. You mentioned you're doing a little bit, I think. Can you go into some detail? What are you doing to ensure the best possible outcome so that we don't have any leaks, especially of hydrogen?
Well, that was essentially the purpose of, excuse me, our WDR2 as we went through that. And then likewise, we had done it. Yeah, out of the pad. When we're back, we do a number of different leak tests and pressurization tests and decay checks and those types of things throughout the system. We do more of those when we get to the pad. After we hook up the systems at the pad, we test the system from end to end for the same types of things. As far as on the liquid oxygen or system and on a liquid hydrogen system, both, we do what we call dew points, meaning we purge those to the point where we want to make sure that we have no moisture in the lines or at an extremely low level so that you don't have potential icing in the system. So we do all of these different things to make sure that the system is going to behave in the way we expect it to on launch day, and we've accomplished all of that to date, so we should be good.
Thank you. We'll now take some questions over the phone. We have TJ Mascaro with the Epoch Times.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time. My question's for Mark. Can you please give a bit of a refresh about the cloud violations and the concerns behind them?
Yeah, indeed. So Cumulus Cloud, which is the one that we're talking about here, and that's one of the Lightning Launch Commit criteria, that's actually the most commonly violated here on the east coast of Florida any time of year. Again, you walk outside most days, you'll see a puffy, what looks like a cotton ball out there. If that cotton ball gets more agitated and it grows throughout the depth of the atmosphere, that's when it starts triggering our so-called standoff distances that could cause an issue for launch. So as long as they're shallow and flat, not an issue to fly right through them. But they get up to certain levels of altitude, it could be as much as a 10-mile standoff distance between the rocket on its flight path or the launch pad and the edge of that cloud. And so, again, they have to get quite vigorous. They don't even have to produce, though, lightning to get necessarily at that 10-mile standoff distance. For the launch date coming up, I don't foresee...
All right, so again, we're listening to them. They're talking about highly technical things. A lot of it has to do with the weather, how the launch will go. But certainly, we have our own astronomer. We have Derek Pitts. You know, you've seen Derek and Jarek on Good Day. He's one of our favorite people. We're going to check in with him right after the break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. You're going to want to see him. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live, and that is a live picture of the Artemis 2. It is the first time in several decades that the United States is sending a craft up to the moon, and it will have 4 people in it. So it's a manned spacecraft. First time we've done that since the 70s. So one person that we love to talk to about this is Derek Pitts. He's an astronomer. He's a big shot. He knows everything and anything about space. Good afternoon.
Hi, Jen.
How are you? Okay, so I said to you, we were joking around in the commercial break there, and I said, I think I could go. There's 3 Americans, 1 Canadian. You joked a little, and I was serious, but the physical demand of what these astronauts are about to go through is no joke, correct?
Yeah, it's no joke because first of all, they not only have to withstand the launch stresses of the increased gravity loads, the G loads that we always hear them talk about, but they also have to be able to function under those G loads for, first 8 minutes to get to orbit. And then once the G forces are gone, they have to be able to continue to do all the work that they need to do in an environment that's now completely altered because there's no more G-force. So that's just the first thing, Jen. And besides that, you have to memorize almost everything that needs to be done to operate the spacecraft. So there's a big load to be handled here.
And for the past couple of days, they have been checking on the flight hardware. They're checking on the communication system. They're making sure that the fuel will be the appropriate amount, because once they get up there and once they begin this process, there really is very little turning back.
Yeah, what they do is they build into the launch sequence a number of what are called abort opportunities when they can bring the crew back as they're on their way to orbit. And they have several of those along the way. But there's the last one that is, abort to the moon, which is you're going to go around the moon no matter what happens now. So they want to make sure that everything is operating perfectly. And that really is the whole, thrust of this mission, is to make sure that both the SLS rocket itself and the capsule, the Orion capsule, have been built and constructed in such a way that they can reliably and safely carry these astronauts out on the trip around the moon and bring them back.
So here's a question I have for you that I didn't even think about until you started talking. Remember, we just had some astronauts. They were kind of left out in space for like more than a year, right? They went up. It was supposed to be 30 days or something, not related to this mission. But I'm assuming they learned stuff about making sure everything is good before they get up there, right?
So that's the whole crux of the reason why, these long duration missions are done on International Space Station, for example. We all know about the astronauts who were supposed to go up and spend a week at International Space Station, but it ended up that because of malfunctions in the capsule, they spent almost a year. They came back up, I think it was 6 months, 8 months later. Okay, that's fine. And all the astronauts that have been on board International Space Station, staying 6-month durations for the last 20 years or so, we've collected all of that data about living and working in space that now is applied to what these astronauts are going to be doing over a 10-day mission. So we think we know pretty well what to expect, and we think we have all the procedures in place for what to do in case something doesn't go as planned.
Okay, everything I've read on it, it says the first crewed mission to the moon in over 50 years. I've heard that. Are they getting out? Are they walking on the moon?
No, this is a mission in which they just go up and fly around the moon. They're going to do one turn around the moon. They're going to go around the backside and head back to Earth. This is just a test, as I said, to make sure that the rocket and the capsule are all working together well enough so that when the time comes to actually send astronauts to land on the moon, which now is expected to be in 2028, we'll know that all the equipment is going to work perfectly to, again, safely and reliably take them out to the moon and bring them back. So no walking on the moon this time. No walking on the moon. They're just going to go out, go around to test everything, and then come back and tell us, yep, it's all good, it can work, now let's go and land.
And then in terms of like these people, they're the scout mission. I'm using a casual word there. Any chance they're going to be able to be the astronauts that will be on that mission where they get to leave the capsule in 2028? Or is this a specific tech crew that has to manage, the test basically that they're doing this time?
That's a really great question, Jen, and I don't have an answer to that. It has not been determined yet which astronauts are actually going to be the astronauts to step out onto the surface of the moon. But I would say that it makes sense to me that if you've trained these 4 astronauts on how to operate the Orion spacecraft actually in space on a mission, maybe it's not such a bad idea to have a couple of them actually go down to the surface and come back.
I love it. I know that you don't think I'm ready for this mission, but I'm sure that you think I could do other things.
Yeah, I think there's a mission you could go on, and that would
Okay.
be the teacups at Willow Grove Park might be perfect.
I always treat you with respect and decorum, and thank you for
I'm just kidding, but I
contribution.
think you'd be perfect, actually. I think you'd be perfect for one of the Blue Origin missions where you take the 10-minute flight up to the edge of space and back in that really cool spacecraft.
Exactly. The non-trip. I'm in for the non-trip. Yes. And then we get pizza and a beer afterwards. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. After breakfast, back for lunch, and a beer in the afternoon. Perfect.
Thank you. I'm sure we're going to be harassing you all day tomorrow, so thanks for making time for us today.
Thanks, Jen. See you later.
Okay. Yeah. What I heard is he said it's a yes. It's a yes. There is room for me somewhere. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. I have to find my pen in case I need to throw it to someone else. To someone else, not at them. All right, welcome back in. We're looking at weather cams because many people are on spring break. It is Easter week. It is Passover week. It is a time where people do tend to get away, especially if you live in and around the northeast of the United States. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, that is Hawaii. I have never been to Hawaii. Keith, have you been to Hawaii? I have not. He hasn't been to Hawaii. JP? Nope. Abigail? No one in this room has been to Hawaii. So if you would like to send all of us, because it is a group project here, to Hawaii, and you know who would send us? The Rock. The Rock is from the Lehigh area, Lehigh Valley, and he lives in Hawaii. So I think he needs to send his jet, come to get us, and we'd be happy, and we would behave ourselves. Even Keith would behave himself, and we'd love to come and visit you. So we are going to dip into weather cameras here and there. We're also talking about what is happening, what our reporters are talking about, the stories that they are working on. Jennifer Lee is on a story that is a bit interesting, and we're still getting updates on it. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. There's an ambulance going by that's unrelated to what we're going to talk about. I'll just wait a sec for it to go by. Okay, so we are actually at South 60th Street in West Philadelphia. Up there is Spruce Street, which is more of a main road, and this intersection is Delancey. And last night, just after 8:30 p.m., there was a mass shooting that Philadelphia police are now investigating. They say 2 men, 24 years old, both of them, were killed, and 3 others were injured. I'll get to their conditions in just a moment, but I just want to show you some of the remaining markers that were left behind from that police investigation here. You can see those white circles. That's actually chalk marking different evidence pieces. And, you know, last night, if we have the footage to show, there were a bunch of yellow evidence markers all along South 60th Street here. So just a very, very heartbreaking scene for the families who were involved in all of this. So we can tell you the identities of the men who were killed. Their names are 24-year-old Paul Cobb and 24-year-old Nasir Boyd. And we did have a chance to speak with Cobb's mother. Her name is Tiffany Thurston, and she was holding up his picture as we were interviewing her and said that she wanted to make sure that the community knew that her son wasn't just another statistic of another shooting, of another murder. She wanted to make sure people knew what her son's face looks like, and that he was very, very much loved. He had over a dozen siblings, in fact, so from a very, very large family, and someone who is certainly very, very missed at this point. And we also learned from Cobb's mother that he actually grew up with the other victim, Nasir Boyd, that they were friends since they were children. So very heartbreaking for the family to also hear about his death as well. According to police, they say that a white vehicle was driving by and that a person in a mask in that car started shooting into the crowd. Again, this is just after 8:30 p.m. on Monday night. We told you about the 2 victims who sadly were killed, but there were also 3 other victims. So police are saying that a 36-year-old man was taken to the hospital of the University of Pennsylvania Pavilion with a gunshot wound to the stomach. He is in critical condition. And there are also 2 other victims. Their ages are 54 and 35. They're at hospital of the University of Pennsylvania Cedar, and it sounds like they will be recovering from gunshot wounds to the leg. But there is still a lot to unpack here. We reached out to Philadelphia police to see if they would be providing some kind of an update today. So far, it doesn't sound like we'll be hearing from police, at least today, about this. We've also reached out to the district attorney's office, but certainly we are checking in with people who live in the area to see if they saw or heard the shooting. There are surveillance cameras, both from the city as well as some of these private properties on the block. And I'm sure some of them captured what actually unfolded here last night. But Jen, again, 2 men in their 20s who were killed in that mass shooting, 3 others who will hopefully recover from shooting injuries, all happened Monday last night here in West Philadelphia.
It's just, you know, it's just unbelievable, sad, heartbreaking, unnecessary. Just, it's terrible. Thank you. We appreciate the help. All right, we're going to continue to listen in to what's happening over there. We're talking about this spacecraft. It's going to be the Artemis 2. It will be manned with 4 people, 3 Americans, 1 Canadian. We're just going to continue to listen in as they get ready to prep us for what will happen tomorrow.
So once the flight crew's there, they do a little work before that, so he'll be in there before that time frame as well. And at the very end, yeah, it's pretty good to watch what those guys are doing.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands in the room. All right. Well, then with that, we will wrap up today's briefing. Thank you to our panelists for taking the time to answer all of our questions, and to the media here in the room for asking your questions. Artemis 2 is scheduled to launch at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow from Launch Pad 39B. That's the opening of a 2-hour launch window. You can watch our 24/7 live coverage beginning at 7:45 a.m. And you can, I think, see on your screen below how to watch nasa.gov/waste.
So again, she's kind of wrapping up their pre-launch press conference, but we've been looking at this live image. Again, it's been 50 years since a crew went even around the moon. Basically, like I said, 4 people, 3 of them Americans, 1 of them is Canadian. So some of the things that they've been doing today, there you go, is they've been getting the countdown officially underway. I guess that's why Derek Picks doesn't think that I would be the temperament to do this. Getting the flight hardware ready, checking the communication links, making sure that the fueling sequences are ready with the supercooled liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen. So much needs to be perfect to make this happen. We're going to be back in 2 minutes and wrap it up.